What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the FF Ballbusters podcast. Thank you for joining us. We've got a little bit of a different situation today. Back in studio with the boy. If you don't know us already, I'm your host, Eric. That's my co-host, Will. And today we are going to be walking through a little bit of a week 2 recap, going through all of the games, talking about every team, and probably our single biggest takeaway from each team this week. But before we get into it, Will, you got anything to tell the people?
Yeah, appreciate you guys for watching as always, and make sure you guys do all that great YouTube stuff. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We got a lot of watch hours, not a whole lot of subscribers that match up with that, so you guys can hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know when we drop all of our latest videos, and make sure you guys are active in the comments section. If there's anything you guys want us to cover, anything like that, let us know down below. But with that being said, we can go ahead and get into it.
Let's get it. So we'll start with the most recent game from last night, at least as of recording this, the Cleveland Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. This was a very ugly matchup all around, but obviously the biggest news to talk about is that we are absolutely heartbroken for Nick Chubb. Just as a human being, for real, like, why did it have to happen to him? He's 29 years old, happened to the same knee that he had already had the injury to in college. Is this a career ender for Nick Chubb?
It doesn't look great, to be honest. It doesn't look like it's going to be an easy one to bounce back from, especially at age 29, like you just said, going on 30. It's not looking great for Nick Chubb, and like you said, it's just absolutely heartbreaking to see. So prayers up for Nick Chubb and his recovery. Maybe he can make an NFL return, and if he does, we'll welcome him back for sure.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, man, prayers up for Nick Chubb for sure.
Yeah.
I guess trying to look at it from a fantasy perspective, we got guys like Jerome Ford, probably our priority ads right now, but in terms of him playing as well as he did yesterday, I don't really see that. Do you?
No, I don't think he's going to keep up that same level of efficiency that he had, but I do think he's a priority pickup, like somebody that at this point, after what was a great waiver wire week 1, people already spent a lot of money. I wouldn't be shocked if people blow their entire rest of their fab on a Jerome Ford this week. Obviously, it depends on what you have, but a guy on a team that's going to run the ball as much as they are, like what would you say? 40, 50% of fab?
Yeah, but I wouldn't go any more over that,
Yeah.
to be honest, yeah. But I feel like it's tough to say with fab now because I saw a lot of people blowing a ton of fab on Puka, who
Right.
we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I would say 40% would be fair, but I wouldn't go much over it.
And are you hesitant because of him alone and his talent and what he's going to be able to do, or are you worried about the team signing a vet, bringing somebody else in to compete?
I'm worried about them signing a vet and bringing somebody in to compete. You know, you've still got Kareem Hunt out there who's familiar with the team. Now, has he lost a step? We're pretty sure he has, which is why he's on the couch.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he is somebody who could compete for playing time and could compete for, just a spot on this team. There's still Lombardi Lenny's still out there floating around.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not the most calming situation that I want to blow a ton of fab on for sure.
I can understand that. I think I'm a little bit more optimistic. I'd probably be willing to spend up a little bit on Jerome Ford. Just a full season in that offense, I think, is going to pay off. Even though guys like Kareem Hunt are familiar with the system, I wouldn't be surprised if they brought him back. I think they know what Kareem Hunt is at this point in his career, and that's why he's not on the team anymore.
Fair.
So I don't know how much he would really eat into things, but yeah, it's worth noting for sure. All right, we spent a lot of time on that. I do want to go through this a little bit faster. Let's talk about the Steelers real quick. What are your biggest takeaways from their side of the ball?
Hey, man, Pickens proved me kind of wrong. He stepped up with Deontay Johnson out. I didn't think he was going to do as much as he did, but 4 for 127 and a tug, that's nothing to shake a stick at at all. And Najee Harris's ass. I think that's official
so
now.
Bad, dude.
I think it's official.
He's so bad. It's only a matter of time before Jaylen Warren starts to take over. It's such a clear difference when you watch them play. Like, Najee looks like he's running through mud out there.
Yeah, he's got bricks in his cleats.
It's crazy. And worth noting, you mentioned Pickens 4 for 127, did so on 10 targets. That's the biggest thing for me, is that I didn't think he was really a true target earner. Obviously, they weren't great targets. Kenny Pickett really struggled in this one, but that's definitely something worth noting and a positive sign for the future.
Absolutely, and you'd expect them to struggle against Cleveland's defense as well. So it's good things for George Pickens looking forward, at least.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, let's move on to the New Orleans Carolina matchup, which was the doubleheader, which was weird to have on Monday night, but also an ugly matchup. for real, just not that much to talk about from this one. I think the biggest thing is probably the Jamal Williams injury. He went down, left early. Still not a lot of details about that. Have you heard anything or about his future outlook?
I have to say, I haven't seen any updates about that situation yet at all. I'm not even sure what kind of an injury it is. Did they really give a designation? I know he left. Was it a head injury?
I'm not entirely sure. Unfortunately, I wasn't watching the game, but I can check real quick. I can check it on Twitter.
Well, he takes a look at that. Just some other news, at least something that we saw. Taysom Hill did a thing, guys. 9 rushes for 75 yards. It seems as if, without Jamal Williams back there, they kind of leaned on him. Again, we didn't watch this game, so we didn't see the type of carries that Taysom Hill got. They could have been 9 end-arounds for all we know. But what I'm saying is don't buy into it, please. Please. I got a bad feeling next week's going to be a Taysom Hill 25-point game, and everyone's going to say, oh, it's a tight end that scores 20 points, and he's playing running back. You need to go get him. Don't do it, please.
Yeah.
This is my warning for you ahead of time. Please.
Still no. I'm not seeing anything on Twitter. Search Jamal Williams injury. I'm just seeing people mention his injury. We see Tony Jones with a 67% rushing share after he went down. No specifics though. Oh, wait, no. Saints say Jamal Williams hamstring injury.
Okay.
He was questionable to return at the time, so probably not super serious going forward, but what,
Possibly could push him out of a week, possibly, but older.
31-year-old running back with a hamstring injury in season, not great.
Yeah.
And also, we'll see if Kendre Miller returns, so that could push things out, and then Kamara comes back the week after. It's a whole thing. Jamal Williams might be fading out pretty soon.
Yep. And also Chris Olave, he's good at football. 6 catches, 86 yards.
Yes. Yeah, made the best of a bad situation there in week 2. Let's go to the Panthers side of the ball. Adam Thielen doing Adam Thielen things.
Yeah.
Earned a lot of targets, caught a touchdown. That's really what saved him.
Nobody else in this offense did anything exciting this week. Yeah.
It was gross.
Pretty gross game.
So let's move on. Let's go to Miami versus New England. My biggest takeaway from the Dolphins side of the ball, other than that offense is still just incredibly exciting, is that if you thought that like Tyreek Hill and Waddle were going to kind of take turns being, the fantasy producer on the team from week to week, or, if it was like a number 1 situation, it's not. It's Tyreek Hill and everybody else, and that's how it's going to be for the rest of the season.
Absolutely, and with the way they're playing out there, it's kind of how it deserves to be.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill has been nigh unstoppable.
Yeah.
And Jalen Waddle, like you kind of alluded to, he's kind of been getting the scraps out there. But at the end of the day, scraps on the Dolphins are still pretty valuable.
Really valuable.
Yeah.
Like, he's still producing. Also worth noting, I think he's now in the concussion protocol. But yeah, it's not like Waddle's unstartable. He's still a good asset to have in fantasy. It's just you're not going to see the same boom games that you may have hoped you'd get in this Miami offense.
And not while Tyreek is playing like this.
Yeah. And then let's go to the Patriots side of the ball. What are your biggest takeaways from New England?
In terms of what we hope for Ramondre Stevenson, being the thing that with Zeke being brought in, we hope that Ramondre Stevenson was kind of going to take the lead in the passing game, and that has pretty much not been the case.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really been getting enough passing work to really be worth the price that he was drafted at this year.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of been a common thing amongst a lot of these running backs a lot this year, to be honest with you. It's kind of weird. But definitely him for sure has been kind of disappointing. But Hunter Henry, in terms of tight ends, has been pretty good. Mac Jones leaning on him pretty heavily. Yeah,
his usage has been fantastic. The touchdown was a little fluky. I mean, touchdowns are fluky in general. That's just kind of how the statistic goes. But it was a weird broken play where he was coming off of a block. I don't think he was even really supposed to run a route on the play and happened to get targeted, caught the pass. But still, love the usage from Hunter Henry. The matchups for him in the next couple weeks are not great, so I don't know that I would necessarily make him a priority start or like a set it and forget it. But obviously somebody worth adding and somebody that I think is going to produce for you in that tight end position in just a terrible tight end landscape this year.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
All right, on to Washington and Denver, which was just a crazy roller coaster of a game. Huge comeback from Washington, then they tried to lose it on a Hail Mary. But as far as fantasy output, Brian motherfucking Robinson, dude. The late round RB we knew he would be. Tell me about it.
Bro, we just knew he was going to be the leading running back in this backfield.
Yeah.
We knew he was going to get the priority touches. We knew Antonio Gibson is ass.
Yeah.
So it was just a matter of time before Brian Robinson got the role we thought he was going to get, and he did. 18 for 87 and a tug plus 2 catches for 42 yards. It's not more you can really ask out of that, especially running back that you drafted in probably the 9th, possibly the 10th round.
Yeah.
That's pretty good production right there.
It's really, really
Love
good.
to see that.
I'm just super impressed with the passing game involvement. Not that 2 catches is a ton, but I mean, he went from basically a total 0 last year to being decently involved in the passing game, which gives you a higher floor and makes him more matchup proof. I'm really excited with him, and I think he's approaching set it and forget it territory.
Yeah, I think so too. It's looking like they're leaning on him a lot. 18 carries, like you said, 20 total touches.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
that's big.
And looking at the Broncos side of the ball, it's time to be worried.
Yeah, we might have to hit the panic button.
You might have to. I will say there were some people who were still able to perform some for fantasy purposes. Like
Yeah.
Russell Wilson still had a pretty decent game in terms of fantasy.
Yeah.
Javonte Williams' usage with the team was good.
Encouraging.
They weren't able to do much with it. They were going up against a pretty stout defensive line. Me personally, I think the Commanders have the best one in the league right now in terms of all-around defensive lines. But we can talk about that after the cameras go off.
They're good. They're definitely good.
We'll talk about it after the cameras go off. But I think it is time to be concerned with just how this offense is operating.
Yeah.
Marvin Mims able to find some success.
On 6 routes. Like, encouraging, love to see it. Glad he's involved. Glad he's not running behind Lil Jordan Humphrey and Brandon Johnson, whoever they are.
That is, yeah.
And yeah, like the fact that he made the most of limited opportunities, good. But keep in mind, 6 routes. Can't count on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But yeah, let's move on to the next matchup here. The Jets versus the Cowboys. Another team we might have to hit the panic button on.
I hit the panic button on the Jets last week.
That's true.
On the 5th play of the game.
No, that's true. That's true. And I guess it's hard to really say after they play the Cowboys that you're any more panicked than you already would have been. But really, I think if you're a Jets fan or have any Jet on your fantasy team, you are praying that they trade for or sign a better quarterback, because if they don't, it's just going to be really, really ugly.
Yeah, and there's still been some success with the team too. Like Garrett Wilson able to find the end zone.
On what? What did he have? 2 catches?
Yeah,
Like, he did it. He's
yeah.
good.
Like he's good at football. Like that's the thing. They've got good football players
Oh,
on the team.
it's
Zach
incredibly
Wilson's just
talented.
not one of them. So
Yep.
it's tough. But looking at the Cowboys side of the ball,
Oh.
Mr. Tony Pollard.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Tony Pollard.
Bro, we both hyped him up. We both made him a priority draft. We said he's a 2nd-round steal. Might be better than we even thought.
Yeah, honestly, he's looking like you said here. You wrote here. So Eric writes the show notes every once in a while. I mean, every day. But he writes here that Christian McCaffrey might be the only running back I'd rather have than Tony Pollard this year. And I completely mirror that sentiment.
Yeah.
He's the only person that has the volume with his team like that, because they have been riding Tony Pollard for sure.
Yeah.
In the passing game, insane as well. I mean, you have 7
Ridiculous.
catches this past week.
On what, 9 targets or something like that?
Yeah. That's
32 total touches this week? What are we talking about? Tony Pollard? 32 touches?
We were saying that he was going in the 2nd round and he should have been a 1st round
Absolutely.
pick. And he's just showing why he should have been a 1st round pick.
Yeah. Not that I think that this is feasible. Like, he's certainly not a buy low. But to have that amount of touches and that, like, the underlying metrics to be so good, but to not score a touchdown, I think he only had like 16 half PPR fantasy points.
Yeah.
If you can trade for him, if anybody's like not 100% in on him being the RB2, do that shit. Again, I don't think it's feasible, but it's worth asking around.
Yeah, it's worth at least seeing.
Yeah.
Oh, how do you feel about the rookie as well, Mr. Schoonmaker? I think he found the end zone once this week.
I honestly
Did not know.
didn't know that.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that in our next episode, the rookie report.
Jake Ferguson also found the end zone, didn't he?
Yeah, both of them.
Well, tight end split.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll talk about that in the rookie report.
Indeed. Let's move on to the San Francisco versus LA Rams game. We'll start with the 49ers, even though I know who I want to talk about for real. Tons of obvious positives on the 49ers side of the ball. You know all the big names. So I kind of want to focus on the more negative end. Ayuk is now dealing with shoulder injury. I think he was kind of bouncing in and out of this game after the injury happened, so it doesn't seem like it's going to be that serious. Might hamper him a little bit for the coming weeks, but we'll see. Biggest thing, which is something that I think we both kind of predicted coming into the season, Kittle seems like he's clearly the odd man out of this group.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems like those boom weeks are going to be even more few and far between than we thought.
Yeah.
And which is scary because it was tough to predict when they were going to happen before, but now it's not even looking like they're really going to happen too much. He hasn't been targeted that much. He hasn't been participating in a whole lot of routes. He's been blocking, I feel like, more this year than any other year.
Yeah. It's concerning. Maybe with Ayuk dealing with this injury, he sees a slight uptick in target share, but again, it's not a very serious injury, so I don't expect it to really last. But let's move on to the Rams side of the ball. 20 targets. Did I say that right?
Is it 2 and a 0?
2 and a 0?
Yeah.
That's a lot of targets.
It's a lot of targets.
That's a lot of targets for like 5 games.
That's like Brandon Marshall record-breaking targets almost.
Puka is that guy. Puka is him.
Yeah, because it's just like that was what I was talking about a little bit last week when it was draft capital versus player.
Yeah.
When a team is showing you that someone's good, believe them.
Yeah.
No matter where they were drafted, doesn't matter. If they're showing you that they're good, they're good. And they just kind of proved, I guess, their recruiting is just at a whole different level. Because this guy was one of the best steals of the draft, it's looking like.
Yeah, I will say, from like a fit standpoint, this was perfect. This was a match made in heaven. A bunch of people were comping Puka to like a Robert Woods in the pre-draft process. And so for him to land with LA, with Sean McVay, is just a fantastic fit. But yeah, nobody in their right mind would have predicted what he's done so far this season. If you're interested in a full breakdown, just putting into context how amazing Puka's first 2 games have been and what we predict the future to be, check out our next video. We're going to be doing that rookie report that you alluded to. He'll be the main topic of discussion.
Absolutely. And then just some other news for the Rams. Cam Akers, healthy scratch. Appears as if his time with the team is coming to an end. And if you invested in Kyron Williams, you're looking pretty good right now. His role looks quite nice in that offense. It's looking like he's going to produce. And where's Cam Akers going to land? No idea.
Yeah, so the reason I kind of hesitated when you said his time with the team is coming to an end is because they already tried to trade him last year. Nobody wanted him. Who are they going to trade him to this year? Maybe they straight up cut him, and that could be the end of his career there.
Yeah.
But I don't see them being able to find a trade partner.
Come on, guys. Come on. Someone's got to want him.
Cam Akers' career over?
The Browns? Question mark?
I might rather have torn up knee Nick Chubb.
Yikes. Yeah.
I'm glad that we both advised people to stay away from Cam Akers this draft season.
Yeah, because it just wasn't a positive situation, and it's gotten worse.
It was never going to work out. Let's move on to the Giants versus the Cardinals. I thought maybe the Cardinals were fooling me. I was like, maybe they're better than we thought. Nah, they just threw it at the end. What did they get out to, like a 17-0 lead to start this game or something ridiculous?
Yeah, it was looking like, what are you doing, Giants?
Bro.
What are you doing?
They came back. It was a tight game. The Giants won. But the biggest takeaway, especially fantasy-wise from this one, is that near the end of the game, Saquon went down with an injury. Lots of speculation so far. We haven't gotten any concrete details. People saying it's not a serious ankle injury. It's not a high ankle sprain. It's a low ankle sprain. He could be back soon. We're going to wait and see. Keep your eyes on the situation. But regardless, if he misses any time, that's absolutely brutal for the Giants.
Yeah, he's definitely just been the engine for this offense for as long as he's been in the NFL, to be honest.
Yeah.
So having him not on the field is going to be definitely painful for them. In terms of who you think is going to step up in that absence, because obviously they're missing someone in the run game. They're going to have running backs step up, possibly like Matt Breida. Evan Hull, that's the one that's with, is that the one?
No, he's with the Colts.
Who am I? Eric Gray. I always
Eric
get those two
Gray.
confused,
Yeah.
man. I don't know why. But I guess he's going to step up. But in terms of the passing game, because Saquon being gone takes away a pretty good receiver from the team as well.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to step up in that absence?
I mean, I'm hoping it's going to be Darren Waller. I'm hoping that, that's what they brought him in for. He is the best receiver on this team. There was all the concern about the hamstring, and he seemed to kind of not put that to bed. Like, that's obviously still something that you have to worry about, but he looked good. He was running smooth out there. So I hope it's going to be him. Is there anybody else worth bringing up? Like Isaiah Hodgins, maybe?
I don't feel comfortable bringing any of those names up
Yeah.
and telling anybody to put them on their team because it's just, you're going to start them?
No shot.
And you guys going to start Jalen Hyatt in your lineups? If you're in a 16-team league, maybe.
Even then, you're lying.
Yeah.
But let's go to the Cardinals side of the ball. What'd you have from Arizona?
It's just James Conner doing exactly what we thought he was going to do. He's the volume guy for this team. 23 carries for 106 yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
He just kind of did exactly what we thought he was going to do. And in terms of everyone else on this team, Josh Dobbs played decently well.
He did.
Zach Ertz, still pretty heavily targeted. Appears to be one of his more favorite targets out there.
I think we have to talk about Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
Like, from a usage standpoint, not a production standpoint, but from a usage standpoint,
He's out there.
like the best usage of any tight end in the NFL.
Yeah.
So, absolutely worth having on your radar. He's not exciting. I'm not happy to start him. But if he's going to continue to get 8+ targets every game, which I don't really see that changing, one of the better tight end starts you could have. Eventually, he's going to fall into the end zone, and if you're in a PPR league especially, he's going to produce consistently for you.
Yeah. So if you got him out there, which I'm sure he's still out there in a lot of leagues,
Yeah.
he's definitely worth a look. Don't blow your fab on him or anything crazy, but put out like $1, couple dollars, see if you can get him.
All right, let's go on to the Chargers versus the Titans. Bro, what are the Chargers doing? 0-2? This team, this talent?
This Chargers doing Chargers things. Sorry to any Chargers fans out there.
It's true, though. It's true. From a fantasy perspective, Keenan Allen crushed it. He stole the show. I will say, I think Mike Williams' usage has me really excited for big games to come from him. He got 13 targets in this one, didn't find the end zone. I think his efficiency will go up, and they're going to continue to try to push the ball further down the field, and that's going to benefit him. But, I mean, Keenan Allen's going to continue to be a monster.
Oh my God, we knew it before the season started. We knew he was going to be a draft steal once again.
Yep.
And it's Keenan Allen, guys. He hasn't taken a step back. He's not going to anytime soon, I feel like.
Yeah.
Especially with his role in this offense. And then other guys like Josh Kelly didn't actually do what we thought he was going to do this week. We thought it was going to be a big week for him.
Yeah.
Found some struggles, and that's okay. It's okay.
Played Tennessee.
Yeah.
This is exactly
Tough run defense.
I expected better just because of how
opportunity.
amazing the run game was in week 1 for them, and I thought that they were just going to find a way to figure it out. But Tennessee is absolutely a pass funnel. Really, really good run defense, one of the best in the NFL. And then on the opposite side, one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. So I'm not super discouraged that he was inefficient. And it sounds like Austin Eckler might be out again this upcoming week. So I'd be firing him back up again in week 3.
Yeah, because they refuse to give a timetable on him, so it's going to be some time before Austin Eckler's back.
Let's go to the Titans side. Kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. Team that we thought was going to be terrible. They're 2-0.
I fucking knew they were going to just be sneakily just in the mix, because they always are, every year for some reason, because Mike Vrabel is a very good coach, but they're a very bad team.
They're really bad.
So in terms of fantasy, I'm not telling you to pick up anybody on this team.
I don't really want any of them. Like, D-Hop is getting enough volume that he's worth starting.
Mm-hmm.
Did he pick up a little bit of an injury in this one?
He's been kind of dealing with an injury just about the whole season.
Yeah.
Tyjae Spears possibly is a handcuff. Is someone you could have on your team?
Yeah. His usage wasn't as crazy as it was in week 1 where he actually outsnapped Derrick Henry, but he was still fairly involved. Still no fantasy production. Derrick Henry's the only one getting that, but.
And then Traylon Burks.
Caught a deep bomb.
About it.
That's it.
Yeah, it's tough to be optimistic about them, man.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the Bears versus the Buccaneers. Justin Fields. It's an interesting discussion to have. I think it's a very different discussion depending on the format. Obviously, you know, this is more focused on redraft. I think in Dynasty, I still have hope for him, the player. And I think that there's still excuses to be made for him. I think Luke Getsy is a terrible play caller and is just not putting him in positions to succeed. The fact that they're not designing runs for him after how well that worked last year is ridiculous to me. But man, like, he's still not processing well. He's still not getting through his reads, and his pocket awareness is awful. Like, how long is he going to stick around with those kind of traits?
Not long. I don't see it being super long, and it's like you said, it's disappointing to see. The only thing I can't help but think about is how much money the DraftKings make. FanDuel, all of them saying that he's going to be an MVP favorite this year.
That's
And people just say, "Oh, that's a safe bet. I'll go ahead and take that." How much money did they make off of that? Because he's not doing that.
That's insane.
Also, if you got DJ Moore, sell him.
Yeah.
Sell him this week. He had a good week. Get him out of there. Trust.
And that's another one where if you're in a sharp league, probably going to be a tough ask because nobody's going to be buying into this fake production. But if you're somewhere where everybody's just looking at the box score and they saw DJ Moore produce, find a way to get him off your team.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Bucs side of the ball. Mike Evans, man. Good Lord.
So this is the thing that I think we spoke about this in sort of the draft process too,
Yeah.
to go for Mike Evans over Chris Godwin.
Yes.
Now, why did we say to go for Mike Evans over Chris Godwin? Do you remember?
Because Baker Mayfield?
Because Baker Mayfield. Because how does Baker Mayfield play football? He doesn't play smart football. He doesn't throw to the guys underneath. He doesn't make the smart reads.
Nope.
He's out there somewhere. I'm gonna chuck it up.
Yep.
And who's more perfect for that than Mike Evans?
Can't think of anybody else in the league who's better suited for that type of football.
Yeah. 6 catches on 8 targets for 171 yards and a touchdown.
Damn. Yeah, it's nuts. He's clearly Baker's favorite target, and he's getting the most valuable targets too. Like, Chris Godwin is involved. It's not like he was that far behind in terms of target share, but it's all underneath stuff. Are we worried about Chris Godwin at all? Like, redraft, yeah, I think we're probably worried because Baker's not going to sustain 2 high-end receivers, and we see the usage that we're talking about. But from a dynasty perspective, like, is Chris Godwin kind of already aging out? Like, has he lost a step? Or is this just a matter of situation?
I think it's a matter of situation. I think I'm not panicking yet.
Okay.
Of course, we got to kind of see how this year goes because Baker's on the 1 year. We're gonna see if they even bring him back next year. You know?
Yeah.
But I'm nervous. Like you said, from a redraft perspective, I'm completely nervous about it.
Yeah.
From a dynasty, I give him a little bit more leeway, just for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I give him 1 more year.
It's fair enough. Let's move on to Kansas City versus Jacksonville. Man, the Chiefs are easy to figure out.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and don't even think about putting anybody else in your lineup. Not a single other Chief.
Nope.
It's gross.
Yeah. And if you got Sky Moore, sell him.
Get him the fuck out of here, bro.
So-
That's the fakest. How many points did he score? He like 70 yards and a touchdown?
16, 17 points this week.
That's the fakest 17 points I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's never doing that again.
Get him out of here. The crazy thing is, Kadarius Toney actually looked kind of good, I thought.
He did.
Don't buy him. Don't start him. Don't target him. Just saying. He looked all right.
He'll be down with a hamstring in like 2 weeks. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Jags side of the ball, Christian Kirk. Now, I think maybe I should have been more explicit about this because this is something that I kind of saw coming. Obviously, I didn't see the explosion that he had this week coming, but there's a pattern that we've seen with Christian Kirk, and especially now that they have more receivers there to compete with him. He's a man beater. That's what he does. Zay Jones is their zone guy. Kansas City happens to play a ton of man defense, and so I think the situation is what led to his success this week.
That's a very sharp take. I like that. That actually makes a lot of sense because if that's the case, it could be a little predictive as to when the weeks are that Christian Kirk could see some success.
Right.
So if he's playing against a team that plays a lot of man defense, it could be fire up Christian Kirk week.
For sure.
Every week is fire up Calvin Ridley week.
Absolutely. Even after a down week this week, I'm not concerned. The usage was still there. I think he still had, 8 targets, only 2 catches.
Yeah, it was a tougher game. Like you said, he saw some tough competition in Charvarius Ward.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was playing up against scrubs and didn't see some success. It was a tough game, well fought.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the Jags offense at all. If you go back and watch, there were actually 3 separate instances where Trevor dropped a great ball into either Zay Jones or Calvin Ridley's hands in the back of the end zone, and they just couldn't get both feet down. Twice for Zay Jones, so his week could have been huge. Once for Calvin Ridley. That's the difference between a huge amount of fantasy points and them winning this game against the Chiefs.
How you feel about Trevor Lawrence after this week? I feel like he struggled some.
I'm not worried.
Yeah.
I'm not worried. I'm still 100% bought in. Redraft, I wasn't super high on him to begin with. I want to see him use his legs more to be a super high-end quarterback, but he's in that kind of Joe Burrow territory, or at least what Joe Burrow was last year.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there. So I'm not super excited from a redraft perspective, but Dynasty, I'm all in.
Got you. Okay.
Indianapolis versus Houston. Bro, we talked about this last week. Anthony Richardson needs to take care of himself.
Yep.
But if he does, bro, he's so good. He's taking the league by storm.
Bro played a quarter and a half of football, 2 rushing touchdowns.
Made it look easy, too.
Yeah.
Man amongst boys. We watched him at the Combine. Everybody was like, this is the greatest athlete we've ever seen come into the NFL. You can see that shit on the field.
Yeah.
It's wild.
But I will say he needs to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And he needs to stay on the field because Gardner Minshew, not looking bad out there with that offense either.
He's always looked good in every opportunity that he's gotten.
Now, do I think they're going to take the reins away?
No.
I'm just saying Anthony Richardson needs to stay healthy because if he gets to a point where he's not on the field for an extended period of time and the team is winning and Gardner Minshew's out there, it could turn into a situation where,
Bro, Gardner Minshew to the Jets?
I think it's a great move.
Now, I don't think the Colts are going to do that because of Anthony Richardson and his health-related issues, but I think that would be a smart target for the Jets if they can make that happen.
Oh, yeah. And then looking at the Texans side of the ball, C.J. Stroud.
These rookie QBs, man.
C.J. Stroud looking
good.
really good.
Yeah.
Looking poised, making some good throws out there. Get Nico Collins out of there. Sell him.
So let's provide some context with that one because I just wrote Stroud is good, Nico's a sell. That's how we had it listed. Nico, really good production. I think I should have it pulled up. What did he do? He got in the end zone once. He was over 100 yards. One second, y'all.
That's Colts. Oh, shit. Oh, they play each other again on my birthday.
Nice. 7 receptions, 146 yards, and a tug on 9 targets. So from a dynasty perspective, I like this. I think regardless, I'm trying to sell him off of this hot performance. He's not going to see this level of efficiency again. This isn't a pattern of his with these types of high-value targets. And so I think if you can find somebody that's willing to buy high on him, I'm doing that. But redraft or dynasty alike, he's going to continue to produce.
Yeah.
It's not a must-sell type guy.
No, that's facts.
Yeah.
But when you see him and you got a guy like Tank Dell, who, Tank Dell had a great game as well.
He did.
7 catches, 72 yards and a touchdown. Young guy that C.J. Stroud asked to be on the team.
Yeah.
It's just something to look at.
Something to look at.
Also, sorry for telling you to draft Dameon Pierce.
That's my bad.
It was my bad, too. I kind of said it pretty early on, too.
Yeah.
I was on the bandwagon.
I really thought he was a workhorse. Not even a little, bro.
Not even close.
Not even a little. All of the reports were that 1, he was a workhorse, and 2, this team was going to be incredibly run heavy. They were going to limit Stroud's opportunities.
Yeah, 47 dropbacks. That's limited.
Okay.
Well, he was going to have 75. They didn't limit him. All right.
I guess. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Seattle, Detroit, which if you watched our start, sit, stash, quit video, you knew that we were targeting this matchup heavily and it lived up to the billing. Very high scoring, tons of fantasy production. Biggest note, sell Tyler Lockett. Again, similar to Nico Collins, it's not like a must sell. He's going to continue to produce. But DK Metcalf left this game early with an injury, and he was producing at a really high level before he left. And then JSN target share continues to creep up, and I expect that to continue to grow as the season goes on. That's something that we talked about before drafts. And Lockett isn't going to score 2 touchdowns every week. He's known as a guy to have those boom games, and that's why you keep him in your lineup. I think
not
that
consistent every week.
Not consistent, and not as consistently as we've seen him do it throughout his career so far. I think he's taking a little bit of a step back in terms of his on-the-field capability. Not a ton, just a little. And also just this level of efficiency and the perfect outcome of DK Metcalf being off the field. Like, he's not going to see those type of valuable targets maybe ever again.
No, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I think this was a once-in-a-lifetime, lightning-in-a-bottle type situation.
Yeah. Anything else from Seattle's side of the ball that you want to talk about?
Nah, that's all I really got to. It was a pretty routine game in terms of like what we thought was going to happen pretty much happened.
I thought Kenneth Walker looked good. I think that's the only thing I would add.
Bit of carryover from last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we expected that. Let's go to the Lions side of the ball. Let's talk about your boy. Let me hear it.
Sammy freaking football, baby. Sam Laporta. He's a dog. He's here to stay.
Yeah.
6 targets, 5 catches, 63 yards. Only thing we're missing in that is a touchdown, and they are going to come at some point if he's getting targeted at this rate with this team. Amon-Ra dealing with some injury stuff going on right now. Yeah.
Which is concerning, although he played through it and continued to produce. So I don't know how concerning.
I'm not super concerned.
Yeah. We're seeing Terry McLaurin also dealing with turf toe and playing just fine.
Yeah.
Not that those injuries are the same. They're different guys, different injuries. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to be that worried when he still put up the stat line that he did. Yeah, Amon-Ra still balling.
And then David Montgomery goes out with a quad injury. Going to be out for a couple weeks. A lot of people are saying, you know, fire up Jahmyr Gibbs, but you know what this really means?
Craig Reynolds.
Craig Reynolds, baby. Fire up Craig Reynolds.
I mean, I think it probably does mean fire up Jahmyr Gibbs at least a little bit, but Craig Reynolds is going to be uncomfortably involved in this offense for the next few weeks. Also, DeMont came out and self-reported that he's going to be out a few weeks with the squad injury.
Yeah.
And then I think Dan Campbell was saying he's like day-to-day. He's like, bro, you're not fucking hurt. You're staying on the field.
We need you, brother.
So we'll see what the case is there. Keep an eye on his injury status, but I would expect him to at least miss this week. And I think that Craig Reynolds is probably worth a pickup. He's going to be fairly heavily involved.
Absolutely.
Let's go to Baltimore versus Cincinnati. Let's start with the Ravens side of the ball because there's a little bit more positivity here. Zay Flowers is legit.
Yeah,
I think he's just genuinely really good.
Yeah, and then Odell went down this game with an ankle injury as well. So, and it seemed like Odell was like the second most targeted wide receiver on this team.
Yeah.
So, Zay Flowers might even be getting more usage going in the further weeks as well. Rashad Bateman also should be taking a step up soon too. Where's that guy been at, man?
So in Odell's absence, he did clearly take on that wide receiver 2 role in terms of snap percentage. I think he still only saw 3 catches, 3 targets.
Okay.
Not very much fantasy production.
But a possible step up is still in
and he's still ramping up from the injury, from the foot injury. So I hope that things are better, but I'm not willing to start him anytime soon.
Okay, that's fair. But Zay Flowers definitely looking like the wide receiver 1 in this offense.
Yeah.
And the most heavily targeted person outside of Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. And then the Bengals side of the ball, things are a little concerning. Things are a little concerning for Joe Burrow especially. He is notorious for having slow starts to seasons. This is not something that's new, but the reasoning behind it might be a little bit scary. I think he self-reported in this situation that he re-aggravated the calf injury that he was dealing with. This is probably going to be something that plagues him throughout the season, which is something that we kind of talked about heading into draft season. How worried are you about him? And then also, how worried are you about the receiving corps?
Jamar Chase was right. He should have sat out to start the season.
Yeah.
And they're all going to suffer because of it. And we've seen them all suffer because of it. Already up to this point.
The only thing I'll say, you're right. we have seen them suffer. T. Higgins did have a monster game this week.
Yeah.
On the back of a goose egg in week 1.
It averages out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just, it's tough to be optimistic in this offense right now until he's kind of able to get that together and figure out what that situation is, because it hasn't been positive, especially for guys like Ja'Marr Chase, who are being outpaced greatly by the likes of Puka Nacua. Now, obviously, that's a bit of an outlier situation.
Yeah.
But this is a guy that people were drafting like 2nd overall.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, in Dynasty, there's zero panic on Ja'Marr Chase.
No.
He's him. He's amazing. He's still the wide receiver 2 in Dynasty.
Timothy.
Indeed. But for redraft, like, I'm not selling low. If you have him, I'm holding him.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, you brought up Puka.
Mm-hmm.
At least for the next, like, couple weeks, I might be more confident in Puka.
Like starting him yet? Yeah.
Like, it's one thing if Ja'Marr Chase's usage was what we've seen it from him, or what we've seen him have in the past, and he just wasn't producing on it.
But it just hasn't been that.
It's not.
Right now, he's a Ja'Marr Chase right now, and this is just me being rude, but he's a flex option to me at best. He's someone I'm hoping is going to do something in the coming weeks. Now, I'm sure he will at some point. This isn't me saying he's dead in the water for the season, but right now, I just don't know what's happening with this offense.
And, like, I can't sit him. You can't sit Ja'Marr Chase. But I'm certainly not confident about what it looks like in the near future while Joe Burrow is still dealing with this injury.
Yeah.
But yeah, something to monitor. Let's go on to the Vegas versus Buffalo game. Raiders are bad, but they got some fantasy studs, man.
Hey, Vontae Adams, he don't care, bruh.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Quarterback, don't care. Offense, don't care. I'm gonna eat, says Devontae Adams.
Yeah. And eat he did.
Yeah, he's set it and forget it, but we knew that already. Josh Jacobs, not a good 2 weeks. Concerning in terms of production, but the usage has been there.
His usage has been like top of the NFL.
Yeah.
So like at some point we feel like it's gonna break through. But it's, like you said, it's just been tough sledding the last couple weeks. This offense is pretty bad. Going up against Buffalo Bills isn't really like a slouch of a team either.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree. He's somebody, again, sharper leagues, they're probably gonna, see the usage and not be that concerned. But he's somebody that I think after 2 weeks of not producing, especially considering the offseason that he had, not, being away from the team, being disgruntled, maybe you could make the argument that because he wasn't with the team, he's not in shape, whatever. You could try to push that narrative on somebody to try to trade for him. I think he's a trade target after 2 weeks.
I think so too. And then, like you said, you're going to find people who are probably fed up with it at this point.
Yeah. Let's go to the Bills side of the ball. We'll talk about James Cook.
Yeah. He did okay.
He did pretty fucking good. I'm not...
Do I think he's going to do this consistently on a week-to-week basis? No.
But does he have
Latavius
to?
Murray is also still annoyingly involved in this offense.
Both him...
As we said he would be.
Yes. Both him and Damian Harris are getting all of the goal line work. So, yeah, let's break this whole situation down. We were very low on James Cook.
But we were low on James Cook because we felt like his touchdown upside was capped.
Yes.
Because of Damian Harris, Josh Allen, and Latavius Murray, which...
Still the case.
Still the case. We felt he was going to get a lot of work in between the 20s.
Still the case.
It's just a matter of if he's able to produce on a week-to-week, which he did. 1 out of 2 weeks.
I'll give him a little bit more credit. Another reason that I was fading him was because I didn't think that he was going to command the volume.
Okay.
We had never seen him go over, 12 carries in a game dating back to college?
Dating back to high school even, probably.
Yeah, probably. But 17 carries in this one, very efficient with them. That was the other thing, is like we haven't seen him get the bulk of the workload. So what happens when he does get it, if he gets it?
Yeah,
is he
can he still be efficient with it? Can he still...
It's only 1 week, so I'm not ready to say that that's definitive. I'm also not ready to say that he can continue to stay healthy on that workload, considering his size. But I'm not going to predict an injury. I'll give the people that supported him credit. He looked good. But yeah, I'm definitely worried about the touchdown upside because he's not going to be this efficient every single week.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah. Let's go to Green Bay versus Atlanta. I'm going to be a hater on this one. just the way that I wanted to be with James Cook, but I think I'm more confident in this take. Jordan Love's fake. He's not good. The fantasy production is a mirage. Even in Dynasty, redraft, all of it, sell him. Get him out of there.
I feel a similar way.
Okay.
I do. But I do kind of want to hear some more of your reasoning behind that.
So I feel like you've been not a supporter, but definitely more of a supporter than I have been of Jordan Love. I think the matchups have been
Favorable.
perfect for him to produce. I do think, you know, this isn't necessarily a knock on him because it's not like it's going to change. The coaching staff has put him in fantastic positions to make easy reads. He doesn't have to go through his whole progression. And honestly, the rookie class that's come in for them has produced really, really well. Luke Musgrave has looked great. Jaden Reed has looked great. But I just don't think that he had 15 completions in this game. 3 touchdowns. Like, the touchdown rate is going to come way down.
That is true. That is a very good point.
And, like, it's not like the completion percentage has been great. It's not like his yardage has been great. So once the touchdowns fall off, like, what is he really doing for you?
Yeah, at that point, what's left?
Yeah.
That is true. I can definitely see that. So you're looking to sell high on Jordan Love right now?
In all formats, yeah.
Okay. Y'all heard it here.
Yeah. And I guess that's most of what I had for the Packers side of the ball. Again, I mentioned Jaden Reed. That'll be somebody that we talk about in the rookie report if you're interested in that. So check that out later on this week. But let's go to the Falcons side of the ball with another rookie who you took as the RB2, which is looking like a fantastic take.
Oh, yeah. Love Bijan, man.
Yes, sir.
19 carries, 124 yards, 4 catches on 5 targets for
so good.
48 yards.
So good.
It's looking like that. We thought it was going to be sort of like a 50-50 possibly between him and Tyler Algier, but this week kind of proved like, I think week 1 was just kind of a test run.
Yeah.
Let's see what Bijan can do. Obviously, he can handle it, and
Yeah.
he's just going to continue to widen the gap between the two of them as the season goes on.
Yeah, like, we both know Algier's not going to get entirely phased out this season. He's produced with the opportunity that he's been given. He looked good last year. I think he's in good with the coaching staff. But like you said, the gap is going to continue to widen. He's going to get pushed aside ever so slightly each and every week that we see Bijan put up these crazy highlight reel runs.
Yeah.
He had another one this week where he juked 3 dudes out of their shoes in a row. He's amazing.
Dude, he's a dog.
And
Yeah.
on top of the running ability, he's the Falcons' leading target earner through 2 weeks.
It's because Desmond Ritter sucks and can't throw the ball more than 5 yards. But yes, he is.
Yeah.
Much to my chagrin, much to Kyle Pitts tweeting out comeback player of the year, much to his chagrin.
Yep.
Drake London
Bounced
found
back.
some success this week. So to all those who did not give up on Drake London, as we said not to last week,
Yeah.
good on you.
Although, dynasty perspective, hold on to him.
Yeah.
He's still incredibly good.
Redraft him, so.
Redraft, get him out of there, bro. Just sell him high. This ain't happening again. Yeah, that would be my take. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then the last game on the slate from the Thursday night, I'm sure you've heard tons of analysis on this already since it was so long ago, but the Vikings versus the Eagles. Start with the Vikings side of the ball. Another guy that we were telling you not to draft over and over and over again. He's just not good. Alexander Madison.
All I can say is Dwayne McBride could be getting the call up soon.
I hope so, dude. I hope so. He was one of the late round draft darlings that I was into. I want to see what he's got because we see what Alexander Madison has and it's nothing.
Yeah, he's got 8 for 28, 3 catches for 11 and a fumble. So
Bad.
against Philly.
It's against Philly and what was their week 1 matchup? They played Tampa Bay. So 2 tough run defenses. I'll give, the context that's necessary.
But he's not. I think one thing that saying that he's played against those 2 run defenses and he hasn't produced at all
Yeah.
just kind of shows he's pretty pedestrian at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, he's not the guy who's going to go out there and make something happen for himself. Sure, the team might put him in a good situation. He might have some weeks where he's in some good situations, but in terms of him being able to produce for himself, not quite something I think he's going to be able to do.
Yeah, agreed. And then the opposite end of the spectrum, a very talented running back that was not put in the best situations so far throughout his career, DeAndre Swift.
Here's the thing, right? There's a guy every year that's always like no shit. That's why he's doing well. Why didn't you guys draft him?
Yep.
And this year, I feel like it's going to be DeAndre Swift, but all the reasons to not draft him are still kind of there.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We talked about this
Yeah.
verbatim. We had this exact conversation in, I think, one of our last videos before most people had their drafts. He was the guy that was rising up my board, a guy that I was saying, you know, maybe too much narrative-driven negatives against him. I still don't think it's probable that he ends up, you know, being the lead back for this team or that he gets a high-volume role or all the high-value touches. But if he does, this is what could happen.
And it's 175 yards and a touchdown.
It's happening. Guys, it's happening. Yeah. Okay, so now, let's say Gainwell comes back healthy next week. What happens then?
Honestly, bro, this is me being 100% honest with you.
Okay.
DeAndre Swift's back on the bench. And it's not because of DeAndre Swift at all.
Everybody just hates his guts.
Everyone hates DeAndre Swift.
That'd be wild. That'd be wild. So we know the team loves Kenny Gainwell.
Yeah.
Love him to death. He got the first crack at the job, even though he's clearly physically not suited to be the lead back on this team. DeAndre Swift he got every single yard he possibly could with his opportunity. There's a chance he might see the bench next week. I don't think.
If any coach is using their brain, and if I'm using my brain, it's saying that DeAndre Swift is going to be on the field,
Yes.
and he's going to be the lead back for this team.
Yes.
But if I'm listening to my heart, and I'm listening to what fantasy football has shown me these last few years, DeAndre Swift could be on the bench if Kenneth Gainwell is back.
That'd be wild.
It would be.
But I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. But yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it for us. We had a lot of fun with this one. I hope you guys enjoyed as well. If there's any other takeaways that you guys had from this week's game, leave them down in the comments below. Let us know if there's anything you think we missed, if there's anything you disagree with, our takes on the games. Obviously, hit us up down there. We respond to everything, and we would love to engage with you. While you're there, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. That helps us out a ton. It's free and easy to do for you guys, helps us grow, and helps us put out even better content for you each and every week to get you prepared for your matchups. So that would be much appreciated. Will, do you have anything else left to say to the people?
Yeah, check out those links down in the description below for all of our sponsors over at Dynasty Owner. You can check us out at the League Winners with the other content creators that we work with. We're also sponsored by Sleeper. So if you use that promo code, that'll help you out with all your DFS needs over at Sleeper. And also we have Do Numbers. Got some cool merch. Wearing a little bit right now. But we got a lot of cool stuff over there. Check out our promo code for get yourself 15% off, I believe. But with that being said, that's everything I got for y'all. So if you made it this far into the video, as always, we love you, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.